So welcome to day 5, the last day of this 5-day hip opening challenge. We are going to start by using a wall for support or something that you can lean back against that's not going to give out. So if you have a heavy couch, that will work as well. Otherwise, preferably a wall. You'll need a blanket today, some kind of cushioning. If you have a bolster, that will come into use later if you'd like. And alternatively, we do need something to prop the sit bones up for our second pose. So if you have blocks are ideal, or the bolster or any other type of firm cushion or padding, or even a very small stool, a thick book, a heavy, strong box, or a really thick rolled up blanket that's not going to give too much below. So let's start. We're going to start at the wall. You can take a blanket if you'd like a little bit more cushioning just to sit on. And bring your sits bones right back. Bring your back right to the wall. So I'm pretty flush to the wall. Unfortunately, I only have the front view for this. And you can let your legs go long in front to start. Then bend at your left knee. Take that left foot and cross it over the right knee. Allow that shin to open in a lateral rotation, moving out the knee to the left. And take your right foot, start to bend at the knee and bring the sole of the foot to the ground. It's kind of an awkward one to get into. And you'll have to do a little bit of wiggling of that right foot to draw it back. So we're using the wall as our first prop. If you'd like some cushioning under your sits bones, sit on a pillow, a blanket. We'll start the timer here. And allow that left knee to open out to the side. You can flex that left ankle to help protect the knee. So if you're feeling any discomfort in the knee, start by flexing at that left ankle just to activate the muscles. If that doesn't relieve the pain, then start to walk that right foot farther forward. Find a position where you are feeling some sensation in that outer left thigh, in the outer abductors, and then stay there. So we're not looking for a 10 out of 10 sensation right away. We're looking for maybe a 5 to 6 sensation. Over time, this will incrementally increase, and we will experience a little bit more opening in the hips. So find this figure 4, you stay right where you are. I'm just going to show you from a different angle. Imagining I have a wall propped behind my back here. My left foot is coming on top of my right knee, and I'm bringing that up. So with my back against the wall, I'm using that as a prop to help give me some support, and I'm finding a figure 4 with my legs. So just returning here from the front angle, I'm crossing over the left foot on top of the right leg, just behind the knee. And I'm going to bring the sole of that right foot to the ground, maybe help that hamstring come in a little bit with my hands. And then with your hands in this position, you can leave them to the mat, or you can take them through, threading through the leg to the front shin and allow them to soften there. Again, we're not looking for an intense sensation. So find a position where you can hold, where you can stay, and incrementally over time, that sensation will increase. We're getting into that tensor fascia latae at the top of the left thigh on the outer tract that attaches to the iliotibial tract, the IT band running down the lateral side of the leg, the outer edge of your leg. And we'll come back to our 3 principles. So muscles and fascia stretch best when fully relaxed. That's one of the beautiful things about using the wall here is we can relax the body against the wall, let it do the work. You can even put your head back and soften the eyes, allow yourself to be supported here. We're also using the floor as kind of a brace. So the wall and the floor are helping to brace us, to support us, so we're able to relax into the pose. So our muscles and our fascia can start to release and change and shift. Principle number 2 is to breathe to relax. And so we use a 4-8 breath. So we breathe in for 4 through the nose, and we breathe out for 8, a ha-like exhale through the mouth. This allows us to stimulate our parasympathetic nervous system so we can rest and digest that nervous system, so we can stay calm, so we can maintain that relaxation throughout the pose. So let's practice that now. Breathe in through the nose. 4, out through the mouth for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. In for 4. Out for a count of 8. In for 4, last breath here. We're using that breath to help turn down our stretch reflex, our myotatic stretch reflex, where we tense up and our muscles try to react to the holding here. So keep that breath going throughout the entirety of this practice, throughout the entirety of this pose, allowing the inhale to be in through the nose for 4 and out through the mouth for 8. Feeling quite awake in that left hip here. Let's see, maybe you have found a little bit more space. You can draw that right foot in a little more. Maybe not, that's perfectly fine. If you do have a little bit more room that has been created over the hold of this pose, go ahead and bring that right foot a little closer towards the wall, towards your sits bones. Again, finding that breath. And then we come to our third principle, time under passive tension. So your progress is directly proportional to your uninterrupted hold time. So if you are holding this pose for about 3 minutes to start, then you would continue to repeat that with consistency. Daily is ideal, especially if you're working towards a flexibility goal. Then over time, you would incrementally increase that. So same way you'd incrementally increase your weight in the gym, you incrementally increase your hold time. So you'd start with those 3 minutes. Today, we're actually starting with 5. If you need to release a little earlier, you are welcome to do so. Or maybe it takes you a bit longer to get to the pose and your time is a little bit shorter, perfectly fine. Find what that hold time is and then incrementally increase it. So couple of weeks from now, maybe you find you have more room and you're able to hold longer for about 3 minutes and 20 seconds, and so on and so forth. So muscles and fascia stretch best when fully relaxed. We breathe to relax and to counter the myotatic stretch reflex. And then we explore time under passive tension. So those are our 3 main principles in, I guess you could say, the science of stretching, or working towards flexibility, and in this particular case, opening our hips. All right, let's release here. So send your right leg forward very, very gently, and then bring your left leg out in front. You can bend the knee and then extend the leg. Bend that left knee and then extend the leg. Last one, bend the knee. This time, keep it bent, take your hands and just punch out your thigh. All right, let's extend that left leg long. We'll take us right away to the other side. So allow yourself to be comfortable, bend the right knee, flex at the ankle, cross that leg over the left leg, just behind the kneecap, and then start to bend your left knee. So kind of wiggle it up. Your hips do not need to be flush with the wall behind you. You can have a little bit of space behind them, but we're using that wall as our support here. Timer started. Again, if you're feeling discomfort in the knee to start, begin with flexing that left ankle. I'm just gonna adjust, you stay right where you are. I'm gonna shift so you have a bit of a different angle of view. So again, we're coming in with a wall behind us. The left leg is extended, the right leg crosses and goes over just above the kneecap. Then we bend up that left leg and allow the wall and the floor to be our support. That right foot now can be relaxed, but if you're feeling that knee, start to flex at the ankle. So we're drawing the toes back towards the kneecap. What that does is that automatically starts to engage the muscles up the shin, up the leg, and around the knee. So it adds a little bit more protection, a little bit more activation. And often that will be your first step, you stay right where you are, to releasing some of that discomfort in the knee. If that does not solve it, if your knee especially is feeling pain or pinching, holding in pain is just going to increase pain. So we do not want that. So what you would do is move that left foot farther forward to release out a little bit more. Ideally, you find a position that you can stay in and then you can soften in. And I encourage you not to press that right knee away, rather rotate out through the hip. So I'm just going to come up to the camera and show that again here. So instead of pressing the knee away, we take our hip and outer rotate from the joint. So the thigh is rolling open and out. That hip is rolling. Our knees are pretty strong, our bodies are pretty resilient, they're pretty powerful. But especially if you have had a knee injury, you just don't want to mess with putting pressure on the knee in an unusual direction that it's not normally turned in. And right here, we're working on that outer rotation of the thigh, feeling this in the tensor fascia latae and the IT band, right along that iliotibial tract on the outside of the leg. But we rotate from the hip to get this lateral rotation, this external rotation of the leg, so that we can feel this stretch, access those abductors, and stay more safe. If we're pressing away that knee, we're just pushing on the joint in an awkward position. And especially if we've had injury there before, we're a little bit more prone to that happening again. So again, you can place your hands by your side or slide them in between in the window to your left shin. Allow your head to go back, and let's find that breath cycle back in through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for 8. In through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. Aha-like sound. In for 4. And out for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. Two more solid breaths like this. In for 4 through the nose. Exhale for 8. Allow the body to relax as much as you can. And relax through your jaw, your ears, your toes. And then inhale again for 4. Exhale it out. Slowly start to send your left leg forward. Release it straight. Then release your right leg. Take your hands and really help it along. We've been in quite a pose there for a while. Start to extend the leg and then bend up at the knee. Extend again. Bend the knee. Last one, extend. Bend that leg and punch out the thigh, punch out the outer tract. And then let's extend that leg forward. We're going to come onto our knees now, shift around our props a little bit. So if you have that blanket, that might be a really nice support underneath you. And you can even round up one side to be a little bit puffier. So we're creating a little bit of an edge there. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a little bump. I'm going to come onto the blanket. My ankles are going to go right on top of that bump. And I'm going to take my blocks and stack them up on top of each other here, right between my feet. And then allow myself to sit back onto the blocks. You can also use a bolster. I'll demonstrate that in a moment here. Bring the knees a little bit closer together, find length through your spine, and then start to walk your hands behind you and tip your pelvis forward. So you might need to lift up a little bit to adjust. And allow yourself to sit back. And maybe you're saying, Alexa, I don't feel anything. What's going on here? Why are we doing this? All right, if you're not feeling anything at all, come forward, release a block, put that off to the side, and down a level. Again, tuck the tailbone a moment. So send the tailbone forward, tipping back interiorly in the pelvis, and start to walk your hands back here. Again, you might be feeling, I'm not really feeling anything. I'm not sure about this. We're looking, or you might be feeling this all in your hamstrings. So the hamstrings are intimately connected to the hips. So that's okay. That's also going to be part of this. We're really getting into that rectus femoris, one of the main hamstrings that goes along the front. You can walk yourself forward a little bit more here. You can take out that block if you're, again, finding a little more space. Just going to demonstrate with the bolster here. One of the nice things about a bolster is it's squishy. So you can take the bolster between underneath the hips as well and allow yourself to come back. Additionally, if you are using the bolster, the nice thing about the bolster is it is long. So if you'd like to feel a bit more sensation, the timer has started here, you can lower yourself down to your elbows. You'll notice my knees will come up right away. Those will eventually sink down. I'll lift myself back up here. Only go all the way down if you have a bolster behind you or nothing below you. So the last step in this is to sink the sits bones down towards the mat. Allow those knees to be a little closer. Bring yourself back. And maybe bring yourself down to your elbows. And maybe bring yourself all the way down to the mat. Feel the stretch here, tuck that tailbone. Allow the back to arch if you're all the way down. That's natural. The body's going to want to do that, need to do that. I'm going to come up here just so I can speak to you a little bit more. So this is hero pose, or traditionally called hero pose in the practice. And you might say, well, my ankles are, what's happening with my ankles? I thought this was a hip opening challenge. Yes, our ankles are in plantar flexion, so you might very well be feeling it there. And again, they do tend to come along for the ride for a lot of our hip opening poses. So allow them to just be part of this. Allow yourself to tuck that tailbone in and up. So if you were to lift your hips here, and that's why we started with the block, you'll likely feel that a little stronger through the hamstrings and right up into the hips. So we're getting into our iliopsoas. We're getting into the rectus femoris, and our ankles are definitely getting a stretch here. You might be feeling some sensation in the knees, and especially if you're feeling sensation in the knees, bring a block back below your hips. Lift yourself up to reduce the angle of your knees. I'll come back to our breath in through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. In for 4. Out for 8. And keep breathing here. You know, especially as you are further back. And if you are further back, you're getting into that iliacus and into that psoas. The psoas is a great big muscle. We work it every time we walk, comes around from the lower lumbar spine, circles around and attaches to the inside of the femur. So often we are in a hurry and a rush to go all the way down, to go all the way back. But that's not necessary. That might not be right for your body. And for some people, that's not accessible. And that's just how it is. So don't be in a rush to go all the way back. There's not one pose, or being all the way back is not better than being farther up. I have been practicing for years. So for me, the ability to go all the way back simply has come over time from doing continued practice. Especially if you're starting, you might be feeling an intense stretch still up on those blocks, really high up, and that's amazing. That's where you want to be. So allow that to be your shape. Don't always be in a rush to be in that final pose, that idea of what the pose is supposed to look like. It's going to be different for everybody. And again, this is not a show, this is not a competition, this is not a photography shoot. These are exercises and stretches and poses to open, elongate, release, and allow our bodies to gain back that basic range of motion we talked about recently, so we are able to function in everyday life. We are almost there. Let's take a couple more breaths together. In through the nose for 4. Out through the mouth for 8. Last one, really let the body relax as you exhale. In for 4. Exhale. Slowly come back up to your elbows if you're all the way back. Bring yourself back onto your hands if you're on your elbows. All together, you can walk yourself forward. Start to make your way onto hands and knees. Remove any props from behind you if they are there. Take a moment to tuck under the toes. Give your ankles a quick rotation, one way and then the other. And then widen your knees, bring the knees to or toes to touch. Let's take our 3 child's pose. Sink back, bounce back 2, and 3. Last one, sink back. Bring yourself forward. Walk those knees a bit farther. Let's take a momentary counter stretch, just sinking the hips out in front. And then bring yourself up to a seated position of your choosing. Thank you so much for joining me for these 5 days. This concludes the challenge, and today, thank you again.